Hey, it's Floren here, and I was reading an article on Kissmetrics by Neil Patel called Competitive Advantages Aren't Enough. Your Business Needs a Moat. And now, I've seen a lot of castles. I've been over to the UK several times, and so I love the moat analogy. And so I wanted to make this video for you to kind of give you a brief sum up of Neil's post. Well, he starts off and he says that moats are your first line of defense. And basically, your business is a castle, and you need a moat around it to protect your business for the long term. Your moat really is your competitive advantage and allows you to stand out and succeed while other businesses fail. And he quotes Warren Buffett, who says, "The most important thing to me is figuring out how big a moat there is around the business. What I love, of course, is a big castle and a big moat with piranhas and crocodiles." So that paints a pretty vivid picture. Now, Neil covers the types of moats, and so he believes that the main ones are price, technology, people, patents, and location. So I'm going to cover each one of these. So price, he talks about Geico Insurance and how it's the low-cost leader and how most people view insurance to be pretty much the same, so you might as well save money and go with Geico. Redfin, which is a real estate company, they charge people 4%, where the typical realtor charges 6%. So people save money when they're selling their house. Walmart tends to undercut pretty much every competitor out there, and that's how they've been able to dominate retail for so long. Technology, Salesforce as a customer relationship management tool, which has lots and lots of features that would be really hard for someone to knock off. And also, once a company is already using Salesforce and they've got all their data in there and all their people are using it, it's going to be very expensive and very hard for them to switch. So that's how Salesforce has been able to do so well. Apple has their message app, which shows up on the iPhone and also will show up on your other devices. So your like your MacBook, or maybe you have an iPad, and you can respond to those messages from either any of those devices and keep the conversation going. Google is the world's most popular search engine, and their algorithm is incredibly hard to beat. In fact, they keep making changes and tweaks to it all the time. Now, there's some other upstart search engines that will never overcome Google. I really don't think they will, but they serve a specific niche. So, for instance, DuckDuckGo is one that Neil talks about, and that's an upstart that competes by not really tracking you, and so your privacy is basically what their competitive advantage is, where Google knows everything about you. DuckDuckGo doesn't keep track of that kind of stuff. Ecosia, they plant trees when you search through their search engine. Now, Google has their Android operating system on phones, and that makes it so when you search for things on your Android device, you get you search Google. They also have their Google Home minis and stuff like that, which have sold lots and lots and lots of those over the last few months, and people are searching Google that way, and so they're finding ways to monetize that as well. They also pay Apple billions of dollars a year for when someone searches on an Apple phone that Google is the default search engine. Now, people, you want to attract and retain the best people for your business because they make the best products. For instance, Apple's design team is led by Johnny Ive, and he has over 1,400 patents from things that he's designed for Apple. Speaking of patents, companies like Pfizer spend a lot of money on research and development, and they get patents on the drugs that they come up with. Viagra makes around $1.5 billion in annual sales for Pfizer every year, and that's all protected by a patent. Location. Now, a lot of this would more apply to retail stores or real estate, but for instance, Aimco buys buildings, like for apartment buildings, for instance, in key locations that people that make a certain amount of money would pay a premium for. It might be overlooking, like a lake or something. So people will pay more money for those locations, and no one can take that space from them. Now, let's talk about some companies with successful moats. So you've got uh, Netflix, for instance, which has 118 million subscribers who pay around $10 a month. So why do they have a moat? Uh, a lot of people have broadband internet now. They produce new shows every single month, so there's new content, so you don't just ditch your subscription when something comes out like House of Cards that you really wanted to see. It's low cost. I mean, you're getting shows and movies without having advertisements. I know, for instance, my dad really has a hard time watching anything with ads now because of Netflix. Cord cutting is real. My family, we had a tornado go through our town March 29th, 1998. So we're almost coming on the 20th year anniversary of that. And we cut TV service then because we didn't have electricity for several weeks. And so we felt no need to re-up with TV. Now, my girlfriend has TV service, and I spend a lot of time at her house. And so I have been seeing a lot of shows lately. But for the most part, for many years there, I did not watch television, and I think that had a major impact on the growth of my own business because I wasn't focused on what was going on with all the TV. Netflix makes data-driven decisions, so they don't just rely on someone's gut instinct on should they produce a show or put a show on Netflix's platform. They will look at what their users actually engage with and watch and talk about and things like that, and how far they get into those programs, and if people binge those, and that helps them make decisions on if shows like that are what they should be putting on their platform, which makes people stay and stick around. Sirius Xm, they have almost 33 million subscribers paying about $200 a year for radio, essentially. So why do people do that? Well, there's massive upfront costs because it's all satellites. They have satellites all over that are beaming the radio content to your car. They have exclusive content, so you can get sports programs from all around the country. They've got Howard Stern. They have other exclusive things that you can't get from like Spotify or Pandora or even on your local radio station. And 4 out of 10 people who try SiriusXM end up subscribing, and they partner up with the car companies to keep a healthy flow of new car owners in with trying SiriusXM. Airbnb is another one that has really grown in the last few years. They have no locations of their own, and they've had hockey stick growth. So why are they successful? Well, they have razor thin margins. They charge, I think it's 3%. So I mean, when you factor in credit card processing and stuff like that, they're not making much on each place that people rent, each place that they're going to stay in. They already have premium services like trips and stuff like that. I've got an Airbnb magazine that I have downstairs that I subscribe to. They have different things that they offer their clientele. Also, if you are renting out your house on Airbnb, they include a $1 million warranty to cover damages. So it just makes it really hard for someone to compete with them. So how do you go about building your moat? Well, Neil suggests that you really need to understand your market. And with that, you also need to understand your market's needs and what they're looking for and what they really, really want to spend money on. Then you want to create your competitive advantage. So Neil talks about how they started Kissmetrics off, and they created different tools that other people did not have and that they wanted them for themselves, and that created a competitive advantage. And then you want to create an add to your moat. So Neil started posting on the blog all sorts of different marketing strategies, and that drives traffic to Kissmetrics over and over again. I mean, for instance, this video is based off of a post on Kissmetrics site. So you see that it definitely works. It definitely helps them build their business. So what I want you to do is underneath this video in the description box, there's a link to Neil's article. Check it out. I think you'll like it, especially if you like anything about castles and stuff like that, because it's got pictures of some moats and stuff. So I thought it was a lot of fun to read through the article myself. So click the link below and check out Neil's article.